Good morning. Happy Sunday. Good morning, Bert. Yay, you're joining us today. Excellent. Excuse me. Good morning. Happy Sunday. My name is Tina Bickford. I am the Tatted Stamper. Welcome to my craft room. Good morning, Ken. Missed you guys last night. And Sandra, oh yes, it's been a rough week. It has been so cold here, honestly, and today is going to be like stupid cold. And yeah, so if you're here and you're watching live, leave me a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what the weather's like, where you are. Lisa, it's frigid in North Carolina. Oh, you guys have had a rough go the past week and a half to 2 weeks. Morning, Mom. Is Dad watching? Is Dad on yet? Morning, Dad. I don't see him say good morning yet. So what are all the things that I wanted to say? Let's get this silly stuff out of the way. If you're watching and you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I am, let's see, I checked, I'm just over 1,200 subscribers now, which is insane to me. It's crazy. It's so crazy. I remember my husband and I often will kind of remember, like when I was first starting doing this, which is actually just a little over a year ago. We were actually sitting in the restaurant that we go to every Saturday night. We were sitting there. We were basically begging people to subscribe to my YouTube channel so I could start doing lives. I think I had like 12 subscribers, and I don't even know where they came from. So it's been a pretty interesting ride. Good morning, Teresa. Teresa is in Billerica. It's only 8 degrees. What is it here? Yeah, it's only 9 degrees here. So, but it's supposed to be with wind chill factor. It is supposed to be like negative 15 here. So yeah. And Mom and Dad, Mom, is Dad watching? He hasn't commented yet. You have some people saying hello to you over on YouTube. Sandra and Bert are saying good morning to you. Yes, they are my constants. Yes, they are. You watch all the time, every week. Yay. Yeah, so last week, what did we do last week? Oh, we made a card last week from the virtual card making retreat that I purchased from Stampin' Up. Wow. You can still buy that retreat too, by the way. Oh, he's cooking breakfast. Dad's cooking breakfast. Nice. Does he know his favorite daughter is on? Or his favorite child? I should say his favorite child, because even more than, even more than Jeff. Good morning. So British Columbia, Rocky Mountains. What is it like in your area? Is it cold? Must be cold, but it's colder than here. Let's see. So Dad knows I'm on and he's still cooking breakfast. We're going to have a talk. We're going to have a talk. So the virtual card making retreat, let's get back to it. The virtual card making retreat. So, it was, so I was in Florida. I was on vacation when the live retreat was, so I couldn't do that. So I've watched the replays, took it at my own pace. It was great. We made some beautiful cards. So last week we made a card that was like that. It was like one of the cards out of there, out of the retreat. And then I showed you a bunch of, I showed you all of the cards, all 15 cards that we made in the retreat. And I also showed you a bunch of alternate cards that I made. So this kit, when you buy this kit, man, you get so much stuff out of it. I will tell you right now, it is, I got 58 total cards using supplies from that kit. Now, I did have to add some basic white cardstock, and I did have to add envelopes. Obviously, they give you enough envelopes for the 15 cards. You get a whole pack of basic white, the basic white cardstocks, 24 sheets in the pack, so cut in half, it's 48 cards. Now, you did have to use some of that to make like labels and stuff like that, so easily get 46 cards out of the just what's in the virtual retreat, the packet. It's cool. So we're going to make a card today. This is not one from there, but it is using the Pretty Florals, which came in, oh, am I using, no, I'm not using the Pretty Florals. Oh my goodness. One of my alternates for today's card is using the Pretty Florals, and it's sitting on the desk right below where I'm looking. So we're going to make a Valentine's Day card, a masculine Valentine's Day card today, and then I'm going to show you a bunch more cards from that retreat that I made. I don't know that I can't show them all to you. I'm going to have to show you some next week too, because there's, like I said, I got 58 cards out of that. It's crazy. Excuse me. So let me put my coffee somewhere. Oh, so I'm not, because I don't want to spill that coffee all over my desk, and my luck is I will. So I am going to, oh, it's only 3 degrees Celsius in British Columbia. Let's see. Let me switch down to the desk camera. Find the desk camera, Tina. There it is. Okay, move some of this stuff out of the way. All right, so this is the stuff that I was using earlier. Get that out of the way. All right, so we're going to make, this one's a really simple, this is a really simple card. I'm going to show you some of the supplies I'm using, but they are retired. And I'm waiting on my Stampin' Up! Order. My desk is a disaster. Do you guys see this? I just finished making one alternate right before I was supposed to go live. So my desk is a mess. All right. I am going to be using the Hearts of Elegance. This is the Valentine's Day set that was from last year. So Stampin' Up! Has a new set for this year. I'm gonna try sharing my screen so that you can actually see what it looks like. It is called Endless Love. Let me see if I can just do that. So this is the Valentine's Day 2026 kind of stamp set bundle. I'm using a heart die out of it, and I'm using out of my Hearts of Elegance, and I'm using a sentiment out of there. But if you don't have Hearts of Elegance and you have Endless Love, you can easily adapt this card to that bundle. Switch back here. I'm also using my Around the Bend dies. These things are, I don't even know how long ago. These things are retired like a long time ago. So because we're making a masculine card, I didn't want flowers and stuff on there, but these 3 flowers in here kind of remind me of like gears. Now, Stampin' Up! Has a new set, which I think is in the order that I have coming, called Gears and Textures, and it's got some gears in it. I'm going to just do my best to make these ones look like gears on my card. And we are also going to be using the Hearts of Love 3D embossing folder. There. We're going to be using basic white basic white cardstock, and a piece of Misty Moonlight cardstock. We're also going to be doing, I have not done this on any of my, so it's really the virtual card retreat really kind of reminded me how much I love heat embossing, and I don't do it. So we're actually going to do some heat embossing today, and we're going to be using, this is the Wow polished silver embossing powder that we're going to be using. We're going to be using that and the VERSAMARK, and yeah, so we're ready to get started here. All right, so and this card is super simple, but looks like it looks like it took you longer than it's going to take. So we're going to start out with our card base, which is our 8.5 by 5.5. We're going to score this in half. I haven't done that yet. We're also going to need another piece of basic white. Now you can do this on whatever color. I mean, I like a white card base. I don't have to put a white panel on the inside. It keeps the bulk down for this if you had to mail this out. This card is going to have one layer up on dimensionals. So just trying to keep as much bulk out of it as possible. If you wanted to put this on a different colored card base, you certainly could. I am matching the card, this layering panel to the color of my card base because I want my colored cardstock to be the focal point. So I want this to add texture and dimension, but not take away from what's really going on here. And you'll see. So this piece of basic white cardstock is 4 by 5.25. And I usually have a narrower. I like having a nice narrow border on my card. So I usually do 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And you certainly could do that. It will absolutely work for this card. So if you'd like a nice narrow border, I decided to go with the 4. And then this piece of Misty Moonlight, this is 3.5 by 3 3/4. Okay. And then I just have a piece of scrap basic white, and you can see this is scrap. I chopped it up with my scissors. You can see I didn't really cut very. I was fussy cutting, and this was the extra that was getting in my way as I was moving my hand around. So just a piece that's going to fit your sentiment, whatever you want be your sentiment on your card. Okay. So let's get started. Grab my trimmer. Let's score the card base. And Sharon is joining us from Minnesota. Welcome. You guys get some pretty cold weather up there. Let me see. All right, so score this at 4 1/4. Put that back. And I'm just going to come in here, line up those edges. And in the pile of mess on my, I just saved my scissors from falling on the floor. They were teetering on the edge. All right. So give that a good press. Easy. So far, easy. Now we're going to take our layer, this panel here, and we're just going to emboss it. Quick and easy. So this is a 3D embossing folder. Open it up. Geesh. Okay, and we're just going to, I'm going to put this in, and when I put it in my folder, I'm lining the bottom edge up with this line, and that is going to ensure that my design is straight. Now, you can do whatever you like. You can put this thing in crooked. You can, however you want. Oh, that's actually kind of cute. Oh, that's actually kind of cute, but I won't be able to get it all in. That would be really cute to have those. So right now, they all look like little heart rainbows, and they're all, upright. If you had a small enough piece of cardstock and you put it in sideways like this at an angle, those rainbows all would come up at an angle on your cardstock, and that would be really cute. The hearts would be at an angle too, though. So I don't know. I might have to do that. All right. So I'm going to just close that in there, grab my number 4 plate and the rest of this madness. Okay, bring this in, and we're doing a 3D embossing folder, so we are using our number 1 plate. We're going to put our embossing folder in. Now you can put your embossing folder. I try to put my embossing folder in folded edge first. It allows, because as this is creating pressure downward, it allows that, you know, that embossing folder to flex and move instead of pulling all of the pressure up into a, you know, folded closed area. You can break your embossing folders if you put them in differently. Now, if you put it in fold first this way, you can also put it in sideways if it'll fit. You want an open area. You want an open area for your embossing folder. Let me just show. Like this side is open. There's 3 open sides. So any one of those open sides can be what goes into the machine last. We are going to put our number 4 plate on and then roll that through. Like so. Oops. And then throw that up out of the way. This is what our, how gorgeous. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. I'm going to set that aside. So while I have this machine in the camera, we're going to do some die, we're going to die cut. So I'm going to use my number 1 plate, my number 2 thin die adapter, one of my number 3 plates. This is the one that's all cut up. You guys have been through this before. And I'm just going to grab from the Hearts of Elegance, I'm going to grab this kind of medium size heart. So these are all of the, well, I don't know, I guess there's 4 hearts that are, you know, outline, that will cut and outline a plain heart. This would be 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This would be the 3rd one in this set. So that's the one that I'm using for this. You can use, I don't know, you can use this one. I think this one would be too big. I mean, you could use maybe this one, but you just want the, you'll see, you'll just want the outline cut. So you don't need anything fancy. That aside, I am going to grab my Misty Moonlight, and I'm going to place the dies on this. Now, I want this is going to be on my card so that the 3 1/4 is going to be top to bottom. So I just want to make sure that I am putting that in there right. So that's the 3 1/4 going in this way. Okay. I'm going to take my heart die. I'm actually going to put those other dies on here also. And I'm going to put my heart die on like this so that it's off. I want it centered from top to bottom. I want as much space down here as I have up here. About there. I am just going to tape that down. I'm going to tape it in place so that I don't lose that. And then I'm going to grab those 3 little flowers that look like gears. And I'm going to place those right up in here. Now, it doesn't matter where you place these. I'm using, it's wherever they fit. So you can put them right in the center if you want. But because I might be able to cut something else out of this right here, I'm going to try to save this this cardstock and use it for something else. So I'm just loading those up like that. And I'm putting my last number 3 plate on, and we're going to roll this through. Oops, pardon my hand there. Roll that through. This out of the way. All right. So now we have, gently tear that off. And then, so this is just excess. I'm just going to set it aside and I'll use that for something else. So I'm just going to grab my die brush, and you can use your the little pad that comes with it, and little foam pad, and just run that over. That loosens up the dies, all of those little tiny bits from the insides of the flowers. Can I just tell you that they are all over my floor? And there, we'll add some blue ones to it. I have a bunch of them, because some of the cards that I'm going to show you from the retreat, they're all they have the flowers, the little 4-petal flowers with the holes in them, and yep, those little holes get everywhere. So put that back in there so I don't lose those dies there. See, they kind of look like gears to me. They just, you know, they look more like gears to me than they look like flowers. I know. So take that. All right. Now this is where, and I saw another demonstrator do this. And if any of you, I know a lot of you, oh, hi, Lynn. Lynn is visiting her sister-in-law in Arlington, Virginia. Hello, Lynn's sister-in-law. All right, so for this, I'm just going to see if I can, do I have that? I have that up. I'm going to just zoom in. So I have watched, I watch a lot of other demonstrators, as I'm sure a lot of you do. And there's one that does doodling on her projects. And for me, I think it looks great. The doodling looks great, but I'm always, I got to grab a ruler and make very straight lines, and you know, so I have struggled with it. Well, I'm also going to tell you that this, since doing the card retreat, there are a lot of things that I am now, like, that take me out of my comfort zone. Some of the cards that I'm going to show you, I literally took a card base, just a blank card base like this, and I shoved a bunch of random extra bits and pieces of design series paper and cardstock and stuff into that. I did like 6 of them, and I set them all aside and said, I'm going to make a card out of that. And I did. And I made really cute cards. So I'm going to try to take myself out of my comfort zone a little bit here. Show you. Right. Let me know if you're still on. Let me know if you can see this okay, because I just got a little message that popped up and said I lost my connection and it was reconnecting. So if you're watching, let me know that everything's still okay. I'm just going to keep going. So I am going to doodle on this with my silver pen. So I'm just going to come up, and I'm not doing straight lines. I'm just going to come up. It's wiggly, and that's okay. And I'm just going to come down. Again, wiggly, and it's okay. Doing this and doing that. And that's all I'm going to do there. Okay, Mom, thank you so much. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, I don't know what just happened. I just popped up a little thing that said I lost my connection. All right, so this is the part that other demonstrator, this just looks kind of to me. So I'll have to find her video so that I can tell you who it was. Some of you may actually know when you see this. So she doodles like this, and then when she's done doodling, she comes back and she just does a little scribble on the line, just like this. Just like this. And I thought, oh, that looks so cool. And so look at that. It instantly lifts that. I love it. So on one of my one of the samples that I'm going to show you, the alternates I'm going to show you, I'll point out it's one that's done in red, and I use gold, And I used a ruler to do it. And I'm telling you, this looks, I love it. All right. So next thing that we're going to do, I'm going to put these flowers or gears, air quotes, gears on this piece. I'm going to do this while it's still down because I use that gel pen that needs to dry. So while that's drying, we'll be putting these on. I'm going to just grab my little precision tip glue because these are teeny tiny. And I do like to use some tweezers. So I'm actually going to use my reverse tweezers. So the reverse tweezers are ones that when you press, they open. So when you let go, they're closed. These are good. As opposed to my other tweezers, which you see me using all of the time, which are my little black ones. So now this is holding it and I can just do, you know, whatever I need to. So I'm just going to add a couple of little bits of glue on there. And I'm going to add that right up to the corner. And it is the intention that these things are just kind of in the background. So now I'm going to take my next one, the medium size flower. I'm going to do the same thing. Just put a little glue on there. And when I do this, zoom in just a little bit more so you can see how I'm doing this. When I do this, because I said they look like gears, I wanted, oh, jeez. I wanted the, all right, I'm going to have to wipe some glue off. I wanted the petals to interlock. And this is why I keep a little tissue in my pocket. So there. And I can get that extra glue off in between. So one of my other tips or tricks or whatever for getting glue off, my little tweezers right here, I can get in here while that glue is still wet and I can get some of that heavy off. Because some of that area there, my little glue or my adhesive eraser is not going to fit in there. Oops, there. And then I'm going to take my last one, the small one, do the same thing, put some glue on there. And then this one, I'm just going to spin this around and I'm just going to try to line up a couple of the petals so it looks like they're interlocking. Not perfect. They're flowers after all. They are not gears. So we're going to do that. Good. Tissue back in my pocket. All right, giving this a little bit more time for that gel to dry, that gel ink to dry, because it will smudge. I'm going to just put, I'm going to zoom out so you can actually see what I'm doing. What? Okay, so I'm going to put my embossed panel on my card. Now, this is a new bottle of glue that I just opened, and a lot of times it comes out fast when it's a new bottle. So I usually try to, like, I'll try to start in the middle until I can see how the glue is flowing, until I can get it nice and thin like I want, and then come in, because you're going to put glue in the middle anyway. So pick that up and we're going to put this on our card. Nice even borders all the way around. Let that, press that down so that glue can just, you know, it's hard to see all that white on there. All right, let's set those two aside and let's do our heat embossing. I'm so excited about this. All right, so first things first, so you can get, Stampin' Up! Has what they call the embossing buddy. They have an embossing tray. They have all of that. I have an embossing tray. It is not the Stampin' Up! One, but it's just as easy for me when I'm just doing one small little thing to grab a piece of scrap paper out of the computer or the printer, not computer, the printer, and just set that down on my workstation. So I'm just going to get my VERSAMARK, my embossing powder. I have I'm using just a small brush, a paintbrush, just in case I get any flakes on, and then the little embossing bag. So this is filled with something like a cornstarch or something like that, anti-static. So you're just going to rub this all over the paper that you are, the cardstock that you're doing. Okay. I am doing that. That gets like all of the fingerprints and all of that stuff off. I'm just going to grab this. I like to just grab it and tap the excess off. Okay. And I'm grabbing it over here with my tweezers and with my fingers. If there are fingerprints on there, the embossing powder will stick to where the fingerprints were. So I'm going to make sure that I stamp over here in this area. And I know that this is going to be hard to see. Let me just try to, let me just do this and move this up into the camera so you can see it a little bit better. I know it's white on white. And then I'm going to be using from this stamp set, this My Heart Belongs to You. That is the stamp that is on my block there. Grab my VERSAMARK, which is it's not clean, but it's not ruined. So it's just, I've been stamping with it. So I'm just going to stamp this up really, really good, just all over. And I'm going all over the ink pad. I did recently refill that ink pad, so it's nice and good. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to just stamp. And I'm press and hold that just for a second. Now you can't see what that just did, but nope, you can't really see it at all. All right, but you're gonna. So we're gonna take this embossing powder and sprinkle it all over that cardstock. Like that. And then I'm gonna pick this up, tap it off, voila. And then I'm just gonna brush. I can see little flakes, little pieces that stuck to it there. I'm going to get those off. You can flick it with your finger like so. I'm just going to set that aside for a second. Now to put all of this embossing powder back in, I just curl it up and pour it in like a funnel. Quick and easy cleanup. Now your tray does that also. Oops. All right. Now the fun part. Okay, I am going to get, I don't know if it's going to work so well here, but let's just try it. So I use a piece of cardboard covered in aluminum foil just to help so that it doesn't get, you know, I don't want it to burn my desk or anything like that. So I'm going to grab my heat tool. I am going to grab my heat tool, and when you turn the heat tool on, you're going to want to just let it heat up for a second before you put it to your paper. It helps if you get the heat warm already. If it's nice and hot already, it takes less time to melt the plastic embossing powder, which means your paper is less likely to warp. So the more you put heat to your paper, it could warp. So I'm just going to hold this down with my tweezers. I'm going to turn my heat gun on, and it's be a little bit loud. I'm going to turn my heat gun on just for a second, let it heat up, and then I'm going to put it to the paper. Let's just see if I can do this. Hold on. If I can do that, hold that under there. I can actually, normally I would just clip it. I would clip it. I'm going to actually bring it up because I know that there are, I know if Ken's still watching, Ken hasn't seen this happen. So let's just pull this up. I'm going to turn my heat gun on. Let it heat up. So right now this looks like a dark gray on the paper until we put heat to it. Now, look at that. Ah. And I'm just gonna, I'm giving it a little bit of a look. I'm just gonna heat this over here a little bit just to make sure that's heated. Perfect. Look how gorgeous that is. Ooh, love it, love it, love it, love it. I know that aluminum foil is hard to see with the camera there. Okay. So I'm just going, what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to do my favorite thing in the world. Again, did you like that? Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. You should see it. Like, it's so fun. And it's on there. It's on there. That plastic is now melted to the paper. All right, so I'm going to do my favorite thing in the world. We're going to fussy cut. Let me just zoom back out because you don't need to see all that. All right. And I'm just going to come in here and I mean, this does not have to be rocket science. I'm just going to come in here, kind of follow along with the lines of the words, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to look gorgeous. You won't even notice if it's not perfectly even around all of the letters. I looked at my the sample one that I made, and I thought, wow, that must have been done on a die cut. I didn't fussy cut that good. And then when I looked up close to it, yeah, I didn't really fussy cut that good, but I didn't notice. It looked great. I'm just going to come up here. Nice and straight along there. I'm going to cut that excess off. This is how I get all of the little scraps that I can use. And then I'm going to come in here and continue. Like so. Did you like, wasn't saying anything because I was holding my breath. Oh my goodness. See, you can't really, you won't even notice. All right. So like there are little there's like a little choppy edge here, like a little, I can straighten that out a little bit, but no one's even going to notice it. And it, perfect. Okay. Now let's bring in the rest of our card here and start putting this together. All right. I am going to use some, for this one right here, I'm going to be using the strips instead of the regular dimensionals. We're going to still be using those, which is why I have them out. But I want to put as much support as possible on this thing. So I'm going to put one here. So instead of putting them on each of the corners, which you can do, I'm going to do one full strip there. And you cut these to length, which is exactly what I did. I'm going to put one here and then one here. This is why when you're putting your die cut on, you want to make sure that you're even from top to bottom, because you're going to want to put some nice sturdy strips there. Now I'm going to come in with the regular dimensionals. For the heart, you're going to want to pick up this and support this when it goes on the card. And I'm going to put just one here, and we're going to put one here. So just all the way around this to make sure that that doesn't collapse. And you can put a regular size dimensional or a mini dimensional or whatever on those corners to make sure that they don't collapse. And then, oh, we need to put dimensionals on our sentiment. I am going to use some minis. Just put those there, a couple up here, and one down there. All right, I could probably put a small piece there. You definitely need my tweezers for this little guy, like so. All right, so now we have all of our dimensionals on. Let's assemble this card. All right, this one here, let's take all these backings off. So let me just tell you how I actually, the first card that I made is the sample card, the one that I'm going to show you that is done in red, and that is the one that has I use the line, I use the ruler to make a nice straight line because, you know. All right. In that one, the reason I even had a piece like this is I was actually making another card. And when I was making that other card, this was the scrap piece of paper that I ended up with. And I thought, oh, that was really cool. And I made a card out of it. So now I'm just going to take this and I'm going to put it on here. I'm going to line up these edges with the edges of my embossing folder. So not right over to the edge of the card, but with the edge of the embossing folder. And you can place it anywhere you want. I kind of like it more like in the middle. You know, I'm just eyeballing that. And we'll put that there. And then, and this could be, this is a nice, this doesn't have to be for your significant other. This kind of a card can be for a friend or a child or a parent, whatever you want. And then I'm going to come in with this. I am going to use my tweezers to help me kind of place that. And I'm going to come in here. You just want to make sure with this that the end that you have here is not overhanging your card. So I'm going to, come in here and put that on like so. Now you can also put whatever you want for embellishments on this. I kind of like it just the way that it is without the embellishments. I think the little flower / gears up in the corner kind of make it, you know, give it a little, it gives it a little bit of interest. But I think having all of this doodling is really between that and the heat embossing, I think that's really just, it's enough for my card anyway. So I'm going to show you the alternates that I did. Grab those. All right, so I made another one. So I actually made one so that I could take a picture of it. So I have two those. And then this is the one that's kind of started it all. And you can see, look, see how I had a ruler and I went straight over, and then I went straight over, and then I went straight over. And this is actually a little, like where my my gel pen kind of like blurted out some ink. But I just went back, and then because I didn't know how to do this part here, I went in and I just put a couple of dots in the corner. So this morning I went in and I added these little scribbles, and I think that it's so gorgeous. And for this one I used, these are dies from the Happy Hibiscus. The little like plumeria dies there. So those little flowers. And this is the one I said, I fussy cut around it. And I'm like, I thought, oh, that's like perfect fussy cutting. But then as I looked closer, I realized it in fact was not. There's some, you know, choppy cuts. But so this right here is the Soft Waves embossing folder. And I think that having this one behind this really kind of hid all of that. It's also with the white on white, you can actually see that. I know that one's hard now because it's all shiny, all that. And then this is the one that I did just before the just before the video started. So this is the Thinking of You. This is a stamp from that Forever Florals, which is coming in March, is an online exclusive coming in March. This is that beautiful pattern 3D embossing folder. And I just used a black gel pen to put my little doodling, and I put a little die cut heart there. So that's those right there. Cool, cool, cool. And since we have 15 minutes, I'm going to grab those cards real quick and show you some more cards that I made from the virtual retreat. So there is all of those right there. I'll leave that one right up there in the corner so you guys can see that. So this was, and all of these cards were made using all of the what was left over from the bits and pieces from the kit. So this is Daffodil Delight two-tone cardstock that came in the kit, and in the kit it's you got one sheet of 12 by 12 and 6 inches. 6 by 12 was the light and 6 by 12 was the dark. So after you cut all of the bits and pieces, I ended up with this long strip that had the break between the two of them, between the light and the dark. And what a perfect way to do that. So there was that one there, and I did an envelope. And again, here's the split right here in this is what this card actually, oops, like this. It was a piece that came off of that, like that. Just a leftover bit. There's that one. And then I did this one. This is, you guys remember seeing the card that I weaved, we weaved the strips in and out. That was the template. These are actually some of the dots that got popped out of that template. And I used them as embellishments. I colored them with my blending pens. And yeah, did that one. And that's the envelope for that one. Oh yeah, and here's the one. Here's this one. This is just like the one we did, similar to the one we did in the class where we weaved in and out. This is another piece of that paper that was two-tone cardstock, light and dark. And then what I did for this one, so we used, to make one of the cards, we used the circle template with VERSAMARK. So this was covered in VERSAMARK. So I just used the VERSAMARK, used some of that silver embossing powder and some gold embossing powder on the inside, and I just embossed it. And I made little banner tips on the bottom of each of these instead of cutting them off. And then that's the envelope for that one. Then we made one similar to this in the class, but I just did different colors. The inside and the envelope. And the next two, we did similar styles in the class. The one we did had a string under this and you tied it shut. I'm not much of a, I don't like a lot of bows on my cards, because bows, I think, add bulk to especially if you're using a ribbon, to the point where you need to, you either can't mail them or it costs extra to mail them. So I try to keep my cards as flat as possible. So this one this is designer series paper that is white with just the pretty and pink grid on it, and I stamped on that and colored. And then this is the inside, did the same thing on the inside. This is a partial of that die cut, that big die cut, and that's the envelope that goes with it. And then this one, same style. Instead of using this style sentiment tag, I used the longer one. And oh, I forgot I did that. Let me just show you that. That is super cool. Okay, so I actually made over here a little, you see it, a little tab, and this tucks into it to keep the card closed. I forgot I did that. Look at that. Cool. Love it. So that opens like that. It untucks. This is that designer series paper that is all black and white. We had to color. So I chose different colors. This is the Misty Moonlight and the coral and the Granny Apple Green. And this is the envelope that I made to go with that one. And then this one, this is just like the one that we made in the class, except I used different designer series paper. Tuck that in. And just a simple envelope for that one. This is that heart stencil that I had left over. And I just put it on with a flower, did that rough edging around there. I didn't do anything on the inside. That's the envelope. This one, we made one just like this in the class, only in order to get the gold behind, we actually did the gold embossing, a piece of gold embossing. So I just used gold foil, and I didn't put one of the flip flaps on there. And there's my envelope for that one. And this one, we did one similar in the class. I didn't do any embossing on this one. In the class, we did embossing. And there's my envelope for that one. So this, I used that stencil and just stenciled over with the cloud cover, did a little bit of stamping, and that's the inside of the card there. Gorgeous. And then we did this one here. We did one like this in the class. This is just using same products, different colors. And there's the, now I didn't color on the inside. I didn't color these flowers on the inside because this is done with the blending pens. And when you're working with the alcohol-based markers, it bleeds through like so. I didn't want this on the back of my card, so I didn't color the ones on the inside. That one. And then this one, this is the last one that I'm going to show you. We did one similar to this, had different embossing, designer series paper on the bottom, but otherwise the same. And then I did that for the envelope. So there are more cards that I did. Let me just grab a few more. Let's just grab a few more because I have a few minutes. So I did this one. So remember the one from last week where the strips were all like, they were at an angle, but the tag was straight. Okay. So for my OCD self, no. So I did it this way, straight, and put it on a little, separate panel and popped that up. And then just did a really simple envelope for that one. This one is just using a couple panels of the Berry Burst Light, a strip of the Berry Burst Dark, and then this gorgeous designer series paper that came in the kit. This is using a piece of, this is just a scrap piece that I crumpled and then tore to give it that look. I just put a little strip on the inside and a little strip on the envelope for that one. This is that designer series paper that we colored. This is that Misty Moonlight, Granny Apple Green, and the coral. What is the coral? Calypso coral. And just die cut some stuff out of there. The Calypso coral piece here, you can't really see it very well, but it's I did a tear on that. And then that's the envelope to go with that one. And the inside. Hi, Luann. And then this one takes that designer series paper and it's stamped on it. I cut or die cut a tag or a sentiment tag out of that crumpled up two-tone paper that I did, and put a little strip on the inside, and then that on. So this was actually, I die cut one of these tags from this designer series paper. I didn't like it for anything. So I said, I'm going to use it on the envelope. So I cut it down the middle lengthwise, one on the top, one on the bottom, so that they meet in the middle, and then put a flower in the middle so that you can see it kind of does this little wave thing. Cute, cute. And then this one, this is the last one I'm going to show you today. This is that same designer series paper as this without any stamping on it. This is the lemon lime twist, the secret C, and then the inside and the envelope. So that is that. And I have more of them to show you next week. Oh my goodness, move all of this stuff here so I can find my buttons. Oh, and find my, there it is. Here I am, yay. So I hope, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have stuff falling off of my desk if I don't move it, sorry. So I hope you like that card, the one we made today. I hope that you like the other cards that I made. And yeah, so let me just check some of these comments because I was so busy showing the cards. Sandra uses the computer paper too. Yeah, it's easier. It's just easier. And Bert likes to fussy cut. I don't mind it, except it's just not, I would prefer to have a die cut or something do it for me. So that was actually a really cool thing in the retreat. You got 2 sheets of pre-cut die cuts, and a lot of them were in the shapes of some of the dies in the exclusive the exclusive stamp set that you get with the retreat. So you're able to stamp right on the die cut, and it was so easy, so easy. And the doodling is, yeah, it adds so much to your cards without, and I've got to go look for who actually did that. And then I'll try to put it in the description of this video if I find who it is. But yeah, so I will be, I'll be back next week. I'll be back on Sunday next week with another card, and the rest of the cards from the retreat that I will show you. And I hope that you all have a great week. There is, in the description of this video, there's a link to follow me on Facebook, Instagram. There's a link to my Pinterest board. Again, if you're watching on YouTube and you're not subscribed, I would love it if you subscribed to my channel. Help me grow this channel. And by all means, comment on my videos and share them. Tell all your friends. Yeah, so I will see you all next week on Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, have a great week.